So, what are some of the current issues going on? What are your hot button issues?
One of the issues is the politics around the Oscar win,
Mhm.
No Other Land, um, because there has been a response, and I agree with that response by the Palestinian led BDS movement, boycott, divestment, sanctions, warning that No Other Land is violating guidelines around normalization. And this call is not a call to boycott the film, certainly not in the West, but they're saying, and I think they're right, that the production process and the politics around the film, statements, speeches, have violated the BDS guidelines and amount to normalization, which is very harmful. So what we're seeing right now is all kinds of bad faith actors, and
Mhm.
that's a euphemism because I'm talking about some elements that have supported the Gaza genocide. For example, J Street. J Street,
Mhm.
it's a liberal Zionist Jewish group regarding they regard themselves as pro-Israel, pro-peace.
Mhm.
I regard them as pro-Israel, pro-Gaza genocide, paying lip service to something called the peace process, which doesn't really exist. Um, you see these people trying to sort of co-opt this Oscar win and for their own causes, very, very cynically. And this has to do not so much with the contents of the film. That's fine, nothing to say against that. Nothing to say about the fact that there is an Israeli activist or I don't know, protagonist, Yuval, and others in the film helping in Masafriata in the South Hebron Hills are being filmed. That's not the problem. But for example, Yuval's speech at the ceremony was problematic. I mean, there are all kinds of parameters, things that we look at and we may find problematic. One of them would be if there's false symmetry between Palestinians and Israelis, for example, if someone stresses, bloodshed, people dying on both sides, people suffering. So of course that's true. That's true. There are also Israelis suffering, and it's not something that we're interested in. But there's no symmetry here. So that's
Mhm.
something to watch out for. False symmetry or mincing words when it comes to Israel's actions, which amount to crimes against humanity, ethnic cleansing, genocide. So even I mean even if if someone says ethnic cleansing or something but doesn't mention the genocide, we're gonna have some questions because there's an ongoing genocide.
Mhm.
Um, or, another question, I mean, if the film is about the suffering of Palestinians uh, in the West Bank, is there a need to mention Israeli captives during the speech? Is that necessary, for example? Um, so there are strong political, I think, and psychological processes which exert a lot of pressure on such filmmakers when they have to issue political statements in the West to be very soft and especially soft on Israel, and pushing them towards symmetry, downplaying the nature of what Israel is doing to Palestinians. And I can sympathize with Yuval's own probably I think anxiety here. I mean his family has been, or at least was on one occasion, targeted their home in the middle of the night by thugs chanting, perhaps I don't know, throwing some stuff, and they had to leave under police escort. It's not easy. It's not
Mhm.
easy. But still, I mean, my criticism here, I mean, still stands. And um, I think he also had the option of actually not delivering any speech, just letting Basel
Hmm.
deliver his own speech and, just saying thank you or something like that. I think that could have been a powerful statement if he doesn't want to say, if he doesn't want to address the genocide and issue a statement that is, strongly anti-symmetrical, non-symmetrical. Um, if he doesn't want to do that, um, he could just refrain from saying anything. And it's also clear that the media tends to sideline the Palestinian side here. I mean, Yuval's speech has been sort of underlined and reported, I think, much more than what Basel has to say. There's much more prominence being granted to Israelis in these scenarios, and there's this tendency to portray these liberal Israelis, often people with good intentions, and Yuval is much, much better than the average liberal Zionist. Those people who just pay lip service to some peace process. Yuval is much better than that, but still, they become sort of the litmus test of what's right on Israel-Palestine. Some of these nice Israelis and Palestinians can easily be either sidelined or portrayed as extremists, if they
Mm.
don't toe that specific line.
Yeah. A part of me felt like, isn't it better to at least have this story out there and have so many hundreds of thousands, hopefully millions and upon millions of views to see the suffering, the sheer um, inequity in the power of the balance of power.
So, I mean, there's no boycott call against screening the film in the West. I mean, the Palestine, the BDS movement has made it clear that they're not calling for a boycott of the film, certainly not in the West. They're just pointing out that the production and politics around it are violating normalization of BDS guidelines. Yeah, there's a lot of value to the film being screened massively now in the US, and there are also attempts to sort of shut down the screenings or retaliate against
Mm.
venues that choose to screen the film right now in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I mean, that in itself is a good thing. Nothing against that. And we're also seeing people. I mean, that's what a friend in the US is telling me that people are sort of flocking to watch the film. They're also doing that as an act of protest against uh, um, not just US support for Israel, but the attempts to silence criticism of Israel in the US right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
And
yeah.
the
This is a good
censoring of
film.
this
Mhm.
sheer censoring of the film and the fact that it is so hard to even find a platform to stream it. And I made sure that I found it and I streamed it and I watched it as an act of activism, in itself. What do they want that community to do, Ofer? They're going in there and demolishing a house by house or many houses on the same, weekend and, demolishing their lives and their schools. And what do they want them to do? Where do they want them to go? They want them to pack up their beautiful animals that they have relationships with and leave them there and just go to the city of the West Bank city where they have nowhere to go, no apartments. What is their plan for this
So,
community?
so the plan is very simple. I mean, these isolated small communities are located in parts of the West Bank, southern West Bank, that Israel wants to annex. So they want to get rid of a fairly small number of Palestinians in order to annex territory and connect it to the southern part of Israel. So this is a lucrative area for Israel, land that they want to grab, and a fairly small number of Palestinians. So the idea is to get them to leave, and so they're trying to do that, especially in the South Hebron Hills, in the Jordan Valley as well, a similar situation.
Mhm.
Um, a fairly large piece of land with a fairly small number of Palestinians and weak Palestinians, just like the South Hebron Hills. And also in some areas around Jerusalem in order to expand and annex territory around Jerusalem. So
Mhm.
this is the Israeli plan. And in fact, when you look at the Jordan Valley and the areas around Jerusalem and the southern part of the West Bank, the South Hebron Hills, historically, annexation has been the plan of the Israeli Labor Party as well.
Mm.
Historically, after 1967, the Israeli Labor Party, they had their own plan called Alon Plan, named after Yigal Alon, who was one of the masterminds of the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of 1948.
Mhm.
And people can look up the plan, Alon, A-L-O-N, Alon Plan, and see that what Israel had in mind at the time was kind of similar annexation of in the South Hebron Hills, the Jordan Valley, around Jerusalem. So at the time, perhaps that plan did not have anything explicit on uprooting Palestinians, but Israel has been doing it even without, I mean, has been doing it also under the Labor Party as well. We're just seeing right now new horrific levels of brutality in
Mm.
implementing these racist Israeli policies, but the policies themselves have been around for decades.
Yeah. And again, I guess it comes back to my question. Where will these people go if some of them are packing up and leaving? Where are they going? Are they staying within the West Bank? Are they able to, they can't cross the border to Jordan. What is the plan for them and their families and their many children?
So yeah, I mean, basically most of them have nowhere to go.
Mm.
I think that some of these people, when and if they leave, unfortunately, or they get ethnically cleansed, some of them move to the one of the larger town cities nearby, which would be perhaps Yatta.
Hmm.
It's called Masafer Yatta. Yatta is one of the towns there, or perhaps to Hebron itself.
Hmm.
But it's not like they have, another home.
No.
That's their place. That's where they were born. And this is ethnic cleansing.
Yeah. Okay.